And in 1973, Aurelio Peccei was invited to a business leader meeting in Davos by none other than Klaus Schwab himself.
Dr. Peccei, can you tell me what my lifestyle will be in 100 years' time? What sort of car I'll drive, what sort of house I'll live in, what sort of food I'll be eating?
If you're enjoying these videos, be sure to take a moment to like and share it with everyone you know. Subscribe to the James Anthony Report today. It's free and only takes a second. Now back to the report.
Come on, man.
The search for the right balance, the use of informed reason and consensus building are of the utmost importance.
The first step in fighting back the Great Reset agenda is identifying its origins, the key players involved, and understanding this blueprint for global dictatorship.
Fourth Industrial Revolution.
Klaus Schwab is among the most notable of these key players today, and it's today that this report attempts to demystify the devil. In the early 1970s, then the head of Chase Manhattan Bank and world politics influencer David Rockefeller
here again, it was very important to have the backing of the state.
Founded the NGO think tank known as the Club of Rome.
The sovereignty of these nations is no longer as absolute as it was.
Along with Rockefeller was Alexander King, a consultant to NATO, and Aurelio Peccei, a senior manager with ties to very powerful Italian families, who together the three would publish a flawed report by a group of MIT scientists titled Limits to Growth.
The Q curve, which is the quality of life, and this is represented by, for example, the amount of space people have, the amount of money they have to spend, the amount of food they have to eat. Now, it increases rapidly up to 1940, but from 1940 on, the quality of life diminishes. And here we are about the turn of the century, and we come up to the year 2020, and it's really come right back. More people, of course, means that you start to chew up your supply of natural resources.
Using computer simulations, this is where the group stated that the Earth itself has cancer, and the cancer is man, and that a decrease in independence was favorable to the idea of such things like borders and national sovereignty.
Questo è quello che il Club di Roma dice: dobbiamo adattarci alle nuove condizioni e anche dobbiamo modificare in quello che ci interessa più personalmente, con sacrificio, con grave sacrificio anche di alcune cose, dobbiamo modificare il nostro modo di vita.
The greenhouse gas effect, food shortages, and global allocation of resources were all mentioned here as well. Limits to Growth was quite literally the genesis of the Zero Growth agenda. And in 1973, Aurelio Peccei was invited to a business leader meeting in Davos by none other than Klaus Schwab himself.
Dr. Peccei, can you tell me what my lifestyle will be in 100 years' time? What sort of car I'll drive, what sort of house I'll live in, what sort of food I'll be eating?
Probably you will have a smaller car. You will use more common transport means. You will work far less hours. You will have a wider cultural possibilities that today. You will not be so much pressed by immediate needs, because through technology, organization of the markets, the basic needs will be taken care of.
The ideas were then pitched to an assembly of corporate CEOs from around the world. So while the Club of Rome is itself unsettling, with having close ties to Luciferian cults complete with worm and compost-eating rituals, as well as the early 1960s OECD science program, which formed with a focus on bio-tracking, knowledge-based capital, and nanotechnology, we begin to see that Klaus Schwab is nothing more than a public relations agent for the so-called Great Reset. None of these ideas are or were original to Klaus Schwab, including the Fourth Industrial Revolution or stakeholder capitalism. In fact, it seems as if Klaus is a whipping boy for the global elites and is really a sort of groupie. And so while the seeds of destruction have been planted, as evidenced by ideas of wokeism in our culture today, remember that it's nothing new. And though we may all be better served to focus on a more localized level, one way or another, this next presidential election will separate the winners from the losers. This is James Anthony reporting.
Because this is a time for tremendous hope and joy and optimism and action. But to embrace the possibilities of tomorrow, we must reject the perennial prophets of doom and their predictions of the apocalypse. They are the heirs of yesterday's foolish fortune tellers, and I have them, and you have them, and we all have them. And they want to see us do badly, but we don't let that happen. They predicted an overpopulation crisis in the 1960s, mass starvation in the 70s, and an end of oil in the 1990s. These alarmists always demand the same thing: absolute power to dominate, transform, and control every aspect of our lives. We will never let radical socialists destroy our economy, wreck our country.